This is Michael Gerace with Michelangelo's Plumbing, Inc., performing a video sewer inspection through the 4-inch ABS plastic mainline cleanout at the front of the building. We are going to attempt to get out from the mainline cleanout to the city sewer, and we are at 1927 Clyde Avenue, Los Angeles, California, 90019. The mainline cleanout was buried up underneath the ice plant, which was very difficult to locate. We did go into the building and measure it off and come outside, and we did locate the mainline cleanout. This mainline cleanout should be in a yard box or should be marked somehow so that it is evident in case of a stoppage, in case somebody needs to run a cable, a snake with blades through here to clear a stoppage at some time. Going to clean our camera lens off a little bit. Okay, and this is the front of the building. And this is going out toward the street. We've got a palm tree directly in line with the mainline sewer cleanout. And as I said, we were kind of buried up underneath the ice plant. We've moved the ice plant out of the way now, and it's just to the right of the water main. You can see it's probably about 4 feet over to the right of the water main as you're facing the building. So we have water running right now. We're going to put our camera in the line, and we got a two-way clean out right here. Then we transition immediately to looks like 4-inch vitreous clay. We got an offset right here within a few feet. We're going to zero out our camera at the mainline cleanout, and we're going to put our footage counter on now. Going to zero it out right at our clean out area. Okay, we're at 0, and we've got our footage counter on now. So we're right at our mainline clean out. We're going to put the camera down into the mainline clean out, get it going down the line. That is a two-way clean out. And we've got a joint right there that's transitioning from the ABS plastic to the vitreous clay. As I said, we've got that one offset right here, and it appears we don't see any major breaks, but we got a fairly good offset right there. I don't believe that that's going to cause an issue, but we do have a problem at the next joint. We're holding back some water right here. We got some offset from what I can see. This joint appears to be cracked off to the right, about the 3 o'clock area, and we have fairly heavy root intrusion in that one joint right there. And just inside the hub of the fitting in the pipe, we've got a crack down at the bottom we can see too. And then we're running to the next joint, and we've got some fairly heavy root intrusion in that joint. We can't really tell if there's a crack or a break because of the root intrusion. We don't see anything that's noticeable at the bottom, but I'm sure that we have some type of a problem. The roots would need to be hydrojetted and cleaned out real well so that we could see what the joint looks like. This is older original clay, I'm sure, because of the type of the fittings that are in this sewer piping, and we got another offset. Looks like we've got a crack just inside the face of that piping again. We've got some fairly heavy root intrusion again in that joint. And we're still in the 4-inch sewer line. We're by the palm tree area. You got a minor offset here. Not terrible. Little separation. Again, not terrible. We don't see any major breaks in that section. We've got some root intrusion here in this joint. This is somewhat minor root intrusion. Don't see any major breaks or anything right here, but difficult to see anything with all the roots in the joints. Next joint, we have minor offset. No roots in that joint that we could see, no cracks that we can see. Got a little bit of film on the camera lens. Try and clean that off. Knock that off our camera lens. We're going to run a little bit of water real quick. Try and rinse that off. Rinse off our camera lens a little bit. Okay. Then we go into the next joint. We've got some more root intrusion, pretty heavy root intrusion there. We're going to locate this area. We're going to make our turn, and we're dropping down. We got more root intrusion going down the line. I'm going to try and get through that area real quick because it's kind of tough to get all those roots. We got roots in the next joint. Make another turn. We're going to go all the way out to city sewer, and then as we come back, we'll mark everything. A little minor offset in that joint. We're out in the street. Minor offset in the next joint, nothing terrible there. That joint looks to be fairly good. No root intrusion that we can see. That joint looks to be in pretty good condition. That joint looks pretty good. That joint looks okay. That joint looks alright. We're out in the street. That joint looks okay. That joint looks alright. That joint looks good. That joint looks good. That joint looks to be okay. Minor offset, nothing terrible. Try and get the film off the camera lens. That joint's got a minor offset, but okay. That joint looks to be okay. We got a little bit of a belly at this next joint. Can't tell if we've got an offset. We've got an ischius concrete slag holding it back. A lot of times we get concrete slag. There is an overpour is what I believe it is, just from the concrete slag. We don't see any major roots there. From the top we don't see any major offset or separation. We get over that area, now we're making a turn going down into the city sewer. And this is our turn to the city sewer. So we look to be in pretty good shape here from what we can see. Got a little offset at the next connection. Right at this connection we got a pretty good offset. That's shifted quite a bit, and it's shifted We've dropped, from what we can see, probably about a good 1.5 to 2 inches right there. And this is the city sewer saddle connection, which the homeowner owns. This all the way to this point, to the city sewer tie-in connection. As we come back, you can see the top of it where it's offset. Not terrible on the top. We do have a drop right here. You can see there's a definitely drop going into the pipe. There's a definite drop. We don't have any root intrusion in there. I don't see any major breaks at this point. This area still may be maintainable from what we can see. Again, like I said, we don't see a major break at the bottom or the top. You can see the pipe at the top of the line where we have the offset. But I would believe that at this point, this is still in a maintainable condition. And we got a lot of water running now. We're going to pull back. We've examined the vitreous clay in the street. We're going to pull back to our property line. We're going to pull back to that first joint where we had major root intrusion, and we're going to locate that area and mark it out. All of these joints look to be fairly good condition. Now we're pulling back. This is where we're pulling back to the property line sewer, and this is where we had the heavy root intrusion. We have root intrusion at that joint, and we have root intrusion at the next joint. We're just going to locate and mark this area. Okay, we pulled back to the joint beyond the 4x6 inch connection. As you saw when we came through this 4x6 inch connection, we had some pretty large root intrusion. I'm going to pull back again. This is the 4x6 inch transition right up underneath the sidewalk area, and we are at approximately 5 foot 8 inches deep right here. And as we pull back to the 4 inch, that's the 6 inch piping. Now we pull back to the 4 inch piping. We have a joint that is extremely obstructed. Probably have about 70% restriction in this area. Roots are extremely large. And then we come back and we make a turn. That's at about 5 foot 3 inches deep, right in the corner of the driveway. And we did mark that with a pink flag of orange paint on the sidewalk, right where this 4 inch starts transitioning to 6 inch. And the concrete sidewalk is cracked and broken all in this area. So we probably have some leakage, I'm sure, from these joints getting into the ground, and we have some settling. We're going to mark this area, going to mark this joint real quick. We're going to mark this with a flag just to try and track the sewer line coming back to the clean out.
Unknown caller.
Okay. There's a big difference between them, though. There's a big difference between the 199,000 BTU and the 275,000 BTU. There's a big price difference, Albert. And it all depends how fast you want to heat up. Okay. But what area is it in? What area is it? Where? Wilmington? You know what? We don't go that far. We don't go that far though. That's way out of our area because we're way up by Valencia. We're up by Magic Mountain in Valencia. It all depends if he's putting in a top of the line 275,000 BTU, then it would be somewhere around 5,500 to 6,000. Okay, that would 6,000 is maximum. That's on the higher end. Okay, where's the water heater located? Is it in the laundry room or the first floor? Yes. 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 If it's 199, you have a little bit of time to give me right in the middle of the inspection. If you can get there in a half hour, I'll double check all my places. Call you back and tell you exactly. Okay? I do. The number that you're calling from. I can call you back within about a half hour. You're welcome. Okay. Okay, we've marked this area out with a pink flag, and we're just going to mark a few areas to try and track the piping back toward the main line cleanout. Try and just rinse our camera lens off a little bit, get the debris off of there. Okay, got our camera lens cleared again. Now we're coming up the stack, and that area was at 5 foot 3 inches deep, and our next area was at 1 foot 10 inches deep. Joint doesn't appear to be too bad. We have a pretty good offset and some root intrusion in this joint. Let's pull back. Separation there, a little bit of an offset, but not terrible again. A pretty heavy root intrusion here, so we'll mark this area and get our line on where we're going. We'll mark it out with a flag so we can see which way the line is running. Okay, we've marked this area out at 1 foot 6 inches deep with a pink flag. That's at that joint. We have numerous joints with pretty heavy root intrusion. This joint has root intrusion. Not terrible at this point, but it's getting fairly heavy. And we got some fairly at this joint. We're going to mark this area. Okay, we've marked this area out 1 foot 5 inches deep with a pink flag and orange spray paint around the flag, area around the stem of the flag. And we're coming back now to our mainline cleanout. And that's our transition from ABS plastic to vitreous clay right there. And now we're pulling back up out of our mainline cleanout. We're just going to run back a couple feet into the building if we can. Got some debris on the camera lens, which hopefully we can knock off. And we do have roots up underneath the building that are coming through the cast iron piping as well. Now that's approximately 10 feet back up underneath the building, and that's buried up underneath the building. Can't tell. That may not be, that may not be tree roots. That may be hair. That could be hair coming from the fitting. Very difficult to tell sometimes, but it looks more like hair than it does tree roots. This is a very old cast iron line. Has a very large amount of buildup in it. You can see where it's kind of trenched out. There's water sitting at the bottom. We did look up underneath the building and we did see a leak up underneath the building. Somebody had showering and water was just pouring underneath the building. And we could also see where somebody has excavated and replaced a piece of the cast iron that was rotted out. And again, we have more trenching with just buildup, major buildup in there. And that's as far back as we can go to a turn. This is not part of the sewer inspection. This is the waste line underneath the building. But we did run up underneath the building just to take a look. And we have a considerable amount of buildup underneath the building in the cast iron piping. Somebody is running water right now, so it makes it very difficult to see on our way out. It does appear that it's original cast iron, and it is probably nearing the end of its life expectancy, and the cast iron piping will need to be replaced in the future. It's hard to say exactly how long, but we do see several areas that are showing signs of rust and corrosion and rotting through, and we do have an active leak underneath the building. That concludes our video sewer inspection.